Nothing hurts more than realizing people avoid you. Your children cut the call short, your friends sit farther away, your neighbors wave but don't stop. Honestly, it isn't age or distance that makes people step back. It's the little habits we repeat without noticing, the ones that quietly push others away until the silence feels heavier than we can bear. The danger is most of us don't even know we're doing them until the silence in our lives feels unbearable. Hi, welcome back to Journey After 60. Today, we need to uncover the 5 ugly habits in old age that quietly push people away, and more importantly, how to stop them before it's too late. If this video opened your eyes to habits you might need to change, don't just scroll away, save it, share it, and subscribe. Here on Journey After 60, we're not about sugarcoating or fairy tales. We talk honestly about what it means to age with dignity, wisdom, and strength. So let's not waste time. Let's start with the very first habit, the one that often creeps in without us noticing. It's small at first, but left unchecked, it can make people slowly back away more than anything else. Number 1. Constant complaining. One of the fastest ways to drive people away in old age is falling into the habit of constant complaining. It doesn't start as a choice. Sometimes it's pain in the body, frustration with technology, or disappointment with how the world has changed. But over time, it can become a default way of speaking, and most of us don't even hear ourselves doing it. Psychologist Robert Emmons, who has studied gratitude for decades, found that negative talk not only lowers our own mood, but also pushes others into emotional withdrawal. People naturally avoid conversations that leave them feeling drained. So when every visit turns into a session of listing aches, politics, or regrets, friends quietly stop coming by. After 60, we all carry burdens, but here's the truth. Nobody is drawn to someone who only focuses on what's broken. People gravitate to those who, even in struggle, find a spark of gratitude or a story that lifts the spirit. So, what should you do if you catch yourself complaining too much? Start small. Each morning, make it a habit to notice one simple thing you're grateful for. Your health, the taste of your coffee, or even the fact that you woke up to another day. When conversations begin, try sharing that gratitude before anything negative. You'll be surprised how it changes the mood instantly. Another simple trick is to replace complaints with stories. Instead of saying, "My back hurts all the time," you might share, "I tried a new stretch yesterday that actually helped a little." People lean in when they sense hope, not hopelessness. Remember, you don't have to pretend life is perfect. Just balance the hard truths with small sparks of light. That balance is what keeps people close, not far away. And if complaining is the first invisible habit that drives people away, the second one is just as damaging because it doesn't come from the mouth, but from the way we carry ourselves every single day. Number 2. Neglecting personal hygiene. Walk into any cafe, church gathering, or family dinner, and you'll notice something right away. People naturally drift toward those who look clean, fresh, and well put together. Sadly, one of the habits that quietly pushes older adults into isolation is letting personal hygiene slip. It might be skipping showers, wearing the same clothes for days, or ignoring dental care. At first, it seems like a small thing, but over time, others start to notice, and they withdraw without saying a word. My older neighbor, Mr. Harris, who had slowly fallen into the habit of neglecting his hygiene. He rarely showered, wore the same stained sweater for days, and stopped caring about his breath or shaving. At first, people were polite, but soon I noticed visitors stopped dropping by. His grandchildren didn't want to sit too close, neighbors kept their distance, and even at church, people avoided shaking his hand. He wasn't a bad man, just unaware that this small neglect was silently pushing everyone away. One afternoon, I sat with him and gently shared what I saw. I told him that caring for himself wasn't about impressing anyone. It was about showing dignity and making it easier for others to feel comfortable around him. To my surprise, he listened. Within weeks, he got a fresh haircut, started wearing clean shirts, and made bathing a daily routine again. The change was striking. His daughter told me she felt proud walking beside him. His grandchildren hugged him without hesitation, and neighbors began to stop for friendly chats once more. That experience taught me a truth I'll never forget. When we respect our own hygiene, we don't just lift our spirits, we make space for others to stay close. If this part of the video speaks to you, don't just let it slip away. Tap that save button so you can come back to it anytime, especially on the days you need a little reminder. Neglecting hygiene might look harmless at first, but over time, it chips away at dignity and pushes people further from us. And yet, appearance is only one part of the story. The next ugly habit is even more damaging because it doesn't show on the outside, but in the way we treat others when we open our mouths. Number 3. Speaking with harshness and criticism. I love my dad, but I can't talk to him anymore. Every word feels like an attack. That was something a friend's daughter once admitted to me, and it struck me hard. What she described wasn't hatred, it was exhaustion. And sadly, this is the third ugly habit many fall into with age, letting our words become sharp, critical, or dismissive without realizing the damage they leave behind. It's not always intentional. Sometimes it comes from years of frustration or from feeling unheard and overlooked. But over time, conversations turn into lectures, advice turns into scolding, and simple family dinners feel like walking on eggshells. People may nod politely, but inside they're pulling back, avoiding calls, and shortening visits. The truth is, words can either build bridges or erect walls. At our age, a sharp comment about how things used to be better may feel harmless, but it lingers in the hearts of our children and friends. They leave the table carrying not our wisdom, but the sting of criticism. and that sting is often enough to make them think twice before coming back. But when we choose softer words, asking questions with curiosity, offering a small compliment, or simply listening without interruption, the effect is as lasting, only warmer. Faces brighten, conversations flow, and people return not out of duty, but because they feel safe and respected in our presence. That choice rests with us every single day. But while criticism and harshness can wound relationships, the next ugly habit works in a quieter way. It doesn't push people away with words, but with the heavy silence of emotional withdrawal. Number 4. Clinging to negativity and pessimism. Have you ever noticed how quickly a room can feel heavy when someone only talks about what's wrong? It might start with small things, the weather being too hot, the price of groceries, the aches in the body. But when every conversation circles back to what's broken, what's missing, or how the world has gone downhill, people quietly begin to avoid those interactions. It's not that they don't care, it's that constant negativity leaves them drained. From my own research into aging and social behavior, I've learned that emotional energy truly is contagious. In fact, one study from the Journal of Gerontology found that nearly 68% of older adults who consistently expressed negative emotions reported a significant decline in the frequency of social visits within just 1 year. On the other hand, seniors who focused on sharing positive or hopeful thoughts were over 40% more likely to maintain regular contact with friends and family. Mr. Turner, a retired high school teacher who had taught history back in the 1970s and 80s, his students used to describe him as warm, funny, and always ready with a story that made the past come alive. People in the neighborhood remembered how he greeted everyone by name and often stayed late after class just to help a struggling student. But in his later years, something shifted. Every chat with him turned into a list of complaints about noisy neighbors, lazy youth, corrupt leaders. The same man who once inspired laughter and respect now left people feeling heavy and discouraged. At first, friends tried to cheer him up out of loyalty, but over time the visits grew shorter and less frequent. One afternoon he sighed and told me, "I don't understand why everyone avoids me these days." The truth was painful. They weren't avoiding him as a person, they were avoiding the cloud of negativity that seemed to follow him wherever he went. The irony is that most older adults who slip into pessimism don't even mean harm. They're often speaking from disappointment or loneliness. But without realizing it, their outlook becomes a shadow that pushes people further away. Have you noticed this pattern in someone you know, or maybe even in yourself? If so, I'd love to hear your story in the comments, because sharing these experiences can help others see themselves more clearly. And remember, it's never too late to shift. Even choosing to share one hopeful thought in every conversation can slowly change how people feel around you. And while negativity can spread like smoke, the next ugly habit is quieter. It's not about what we say, but about what we don't do, pulling back so far into isolation that even those who want to love us can't find a way in. Number 5. Withdrawing too deeply into isolation. You may have noticed how the phone rings less often, how invitations slowly stop coming, and before long, the house feels quieter than it used to. For many older adults, that silence isn't always because others have turned away. It's often the result of withdrawing too deeply into our own shell. It can start innocently, by skipping a community gathering or saying no to a family dinner because it feels tiring. But little by little, what began as rest turns into isolation. The truth is, solitude can be deeply nourishing when it's a choice. A quiet morning with a cup of tea, an afternoon spent reading without interruption, or an evening walking alone under the streetlights. These moments can restore energy and give clarity to the mind. They allow us to breathe, to reflect, and to enjoy our own company in a way that feels freeing. But when solitude slowly hardens into a habit, when days of peace turn into weeks of silence, the very thing that once gave us rest can begin to eat away at our lives. Isolation is different. It isn't restful, it's heavy. It can erode relationships, leaving family unsure if they're welcome. It can strain friendships because no one wants to feel like they're intruding. And it can quietly harm our health, increasing the risk of depression, heart disease, and even memory loss. The painful reality is this: people can't stay close if every door is closed to them. No matter how much they love us, if they're always met with silence, hesitation, or refusal, eventually they will stop knocking. What remains is a house that grows quieter, not because the world doesn't care, but because the habit of withdrawing has sent the message that no one is wanted. If you ever feel yourself slipping into too much solitude, start with one simple step. Reach out. Call an old friend just to say hello, or invite a neighbor over for tea, even if only for 15 minutes. Try joining a small activity, a book club, a morning walk group, or even a weekly visit to the local market where you greet the same faces. These tiny acts of connection may seem small, but they open the door for others to come closer. Remember, people often want to be there for you. They just need to know you'll let them in. And now we've walked through each of these 5 habits one by one. But before we close, let's take a step back, because this is the part where I gather everything together, so we can see the bigger picture of how these small choices shape the way people stay close to us or drift away. We've now uncovered 5 of the ugly habits that, without meaning to, can push people away in our later years. From constant complaining, to neglecting hygiene, to speaking harshly, clinging to negativity, and finally, withdrawing too deeply into isolation. Each one may feel small in the moment, but together they shape how others see us and whether they choose to stay close or quietly drift away. But here's the deeper truth. These habits don't have to define us. Growing older is not about fading out of the picture. It's about growing into a wiser, gentler, and more intentional version of ourselves. Every day is a chance to soften our words, take better care of our bodies, and open our doors to connection. When we choose differently, we remind the world and ourselves that old age can still be a season of dignity, warmth, and strength. So let me ask you, have you noticed any of these habits in yourself or someone you love? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your story might help another person reflect, or even give them the courage to make a change. And if this video spoke to you, don't forget to like, save, and subscribe, so we can keep building this community of wisdom together. Thanks for watching, and see you in next video.